going down. It's going down, 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 down. It's going
Oh my God!
That's a sneak peek of the new Avengers movie. I got it. Very good.
How'd you know, Danny? That's a segment from Captain America 4 right there. That's one of the scenes. Big Gene, you there, brother? Oh, Big Gene, my friend from Rizzo, Big Gene, big Marvel Comics fan, is trying to get on here. We'll get him on here at some point here. What's going on, Andrew? How are you, brother? Hey, folks, this is the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. We're live streaming this afternoon / early evening, doing an MCU special on YouTube, on Twitch, Facebook Live, Twitter Live, Rumble, everything, everywhere you can imagine, etc. Great guest panel. I'm Jeff S., a.k.a. TrueKnowledge, moderating the show, co-host of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. And essentially, we're going to be digging into She-Hulk Episode 1, Captain America 4 New World Order, the Daredevil Born Again Netflix Disney Plus series, and a little bit of like a re-review, like wrap-up coming off of our review of Thor Ragnarok last week. So on the panel, and I'll give everybody a chance to do a quick intro. Back again, I want to say semi-guest, Danny, what's going on, brother? It's good to see you back on the Bleeding Edge. How long has it been, man? What, like 3 months?
It's been about that. It's been a quarter. I got shows coming out on the channel. You can go to djbproductionsnetwork.com. I'll take you right to the YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bells. Check out the different playlists there because there's something for everybody. As far as MCU related stuff, we got Capes Not Included, which we actually just dropped a She-Hulk Episode 1 recap there. So you want to check that out. I know we're going to go over that here as well. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Glad I was able to jump on tonight and hook this up, man.
Fucking A, brother. Good to see you, man. Check out Danny's shows. The son of a bitch. He keeps luring me in and telling me that I can come and chill with him and record with him and whatnot on the weekends. And then he tells me I got to record at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. when I'm like can't even get out of bed. So, but it's okay. It's all right though. Jasmine back for round 2, guesting for her second time within a week, which is that I think that's one of the first times I've ever had a guest come on twice in the first week. Well, maybe I've had one other person do it. But what's going on, Jasmine?
Hey, not much.
What did you think of that? What did you think of that mini teaser trailer for Captain America 4 that I played there in the intro?
Oh, made my eyes bug out. I was like, wait.
Did you give me that person? It might be the villain of the film. I mean, you saw.
We obviously saw Kang the Conqueror. We saw the new Black Widow.
Oh my God, man! I'm telling you. Hey, Gene, I don't know what you got going on over there, man. But whatever it is, it's interesting, bro. So anyways, Jasmine, are you excited to talk about Captain America 4 New World Order and Daredevil Disney Plus Series, 18 episodes?
Yes, I am excited.
This is going to be awesome. So yeah, what do you think about covering a little Thor Ragnarok? We did our review the other night and whatnot, Danny, with Renee was on it.
Okay.
And,
I have not watched it yet, but I mean, you're not spoiling nothing for me, but I have not watched it yet.
We left stuff off the table. You ever saw Thor Ragnarok?
Not yet.
Thor
Ragnarok. I thought you meant the new one.
Yeah,
Thor Ragnarok. I've seen a couple times.
Hey, damn, what you doing here, man?
Okay.
Yeah. I watch Happy Days.
So, Renee, Loki's mom, how do you feel about being here on Sunday this week, dear?
Oh golly, I'm just bursting at the seams. I always love being in the presence of Jeff TrueKnowledge.
Oh, you know what? Well, I just want to put it out there.
Even if it's via electronic, through the internet tubes.
Renee and I are actually really good friends, believe it or not. I know people would be crazy to imagine that anyone would want to be my friend.
Believe it.
We're actually really good friends. And and we're pretty tight. You know what I mean? I'll just put it. That's all I'm going to say because I'm
we're like oil and water.
There you go. Yeah, we had a little ideological back and forth the other night after the Thor Ragnarok review and got a little hot, got a little heated.
I say never trust a guy with a 12-step program.
That's why I don't talk about politics, folks. That's why we don't step into that realm on the bleeding edge. But so basically, I am going to go ahead really quick. We're going to start off with the Daredevil Disney Plus series.
Okay.
I'm going to play some Daredevil trailers from the Netflix series just to kind of spark things off.
Okay.
Kind of get, give us something visual to work with. And then we'll dive into the segment. Hey, do me a favor, Renee. And really quick, will you step in for me just really quick and start this Daredevil segment and whatnot and everything? And just let me run out real quick and grab my Uber Eats. I'll be right back. I know you can handle it, Renee. I believe in you.
Tell him to throw it through the window.
Is Renee even there?
No.
Danny, will you step in real quick, brother?
I sure will. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So what we got is easily, I would say, what was, even if you weren't a Marvel fan of any genre, was probably one of the best productions that Netflix put out, honestly, in my opinion. The Daredevil series, which went 3 seasons, was just writer's gold. It was fantastic, in my opinion. I thought choreography-wise, it was fantastic. And it really took a character who, for lack of a better term, was a B-list character and really gave him substance to people that did not know comics, that did not know this character. And also, I think it did justice to people who did know the character. A lot of times, if we go back to the Daredevil movie as an example, which a lot of people give it flack and stuff like that. I personally liked that movie. I liked the movie for what it was. It wasn't MCU quality or anything like that. It was a cool superhero movie. I think it was more a victim of when it came out because it came out right after Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which was 16 times better than any movie that put out that year. And if you're not a comic book person and you're seeing a similar looking character come out, you're like, oh, well, this is just biting off of Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And then we also had, you got to remember when that came out, we had Ang Lee's Hulk, which was also another bomb in the box office and was a kind of a really a moshed up story that people were like, I don't understand what's happening. Even like Marvel fans are like, I don't know what this is. So Daredevil, I thought, did not get its just desserts movie-wise, but I thought it really did in Netflix's series. And now bringing it over to Disney Plus, it's going to be Daredevil Born Again. Okay. And some podcasters were like, oh, well, it's going to be Born Again. Is it going to adapt the Born Again storyline? Is this going to be a different universe? They were going really far into it. And let's just get it off the panel right now. When Disney Plus took it from Netflix, they're changing the titles of the shows so that they are not associated with the Netflix product. Period. End of story. You're still getting the same characters. You're still getting the same series. I don't necessarily think it's a reboot or anything like that, but like they call like Jessica Jones, aka Jessica Jones. This is going to be Daredevil Born Again. These are titles just to separate Disney Plus's version from the Netflix version. We're still should be getting the same thing with a lot more money added to it. So understand that good production we did get with Netflix, we're probably getting better production with the Disney Plus series. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great character that's going to really tie in the Disney Plus series and all. And in all honesty, I'm really enjoying the series over going in and watching the movies in a sense too, because I'm getting these really nice, roughly 2 movie stories, because they're about 6 to 8 episodes each, and they're about an hour each or whatever. So you're getting a 6-hour story, per se, and they're giving us some high quality writing with all the shows that we covered here on the MCU Bleeding Edge. And I think Daredevil Born Again is going to be just yet another one, just like that.
Well, I'll go around. Big G, you here now, brother? You with us, brother? Oh, I can't hear your audio, Gene.
No audio, Gene.
You're not muted.
No, still no audio.
You just gotta play with your settings. Renee, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay. Renee, did you watch the Daredevil Netflix series?
I sure did. I watched all 3 seasons.
What was your take? What was your overall take on like everything that you saw in the 3 seasons of that show?
Well, I thought it was very, very well done. I probably have, of course, they hadn't done a lot of, they were doing the Netflix things, and ABC was putting out Captain Carter and stuff like that. And I thought Daredevil, of all those series back then, was the best one. I mean, hands down. I mean, it really, and I wasn't really familiar with Daredevil. I had seen what Danny was talking about, the Ben Affleck, Jen Garner movie was
Right.
just abysmal. I mean,
I mean, I wouldn't go abysmal, but yeah.
I loved it.
I think they had some good action sequences and whatnot, and he looked good in the spandex. But other than that, it was just the TV show did justice to the character.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it really did.
And like you say, and then it had Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin in it. I mean, my gosh, talk about great acting in what you would think is, what you would think in a much more prestigious production. He gives it here, and I mean, it's a caricature, and yet he makes it believable. He doesn't make it silly. And I've mentioned this before, and I'll say it again because he does it deliberately. He's a combination of John Huston, Noah Cross in Chinatown, and Orson Welles, because he resembles Orson Welles and has played Orson Welles. Charles Foster Kane. So that's a common. He has blended that to bring out the comic book aspect of the villain for Kingpin. So. Yeah, absolutely. I will say I think the 3rd season was not as well done as the first 2. It was a little
true.
I think they kind of lost the edge on it, and it was not enough action and whatnot. But even so, it was still good. I mean, it was a good wrap up, and that they're bringing Daredevil back and Charlie Cox. There again, we've talked about the great way they cast, and here another British actor who's come from the stage and British TV, BBC, and all that. Brings his acumen to the role and his precision, and because these actors are well trained. I mean, not that can't bring their techniques to it, but they really train. They hone in on these characters, like Hiddleston has done, like Benedict Cumberbatch has done with his character. I mean, they've studied past acting or past movies or past plays and everything, and they're drawing upon that to bring that to their characters. So that's so. Anyway. Did I say I liked it?
Jasmine, same question. What was your take? What did you take out of the Daredevil Netflix? Whatever you caught of it.
I enjoyed it. My qualms came pretty much down to the casting of Elektra. It felt more like they were doing a ethnic role, like representation situation. For me, Jennifer Garner was Elektra. Hands down, because she actually put in the work. She did her ability with size didn't just feel like they were props. Like they were an extension of her being, And with the character there, she just kind of gave me a angry woman who had betrayal issues. And they didn't really dive into her lore. They just kind of threw her in there, killed her, and then brought her back just to kill her again,
Yeah.
Well,
and that was my biggest qualm. I did very much enjoy the original film. That's what I grew up on, just like the Fantastic Four. Those films were my childhood. So,
and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Cyber loves the original Fox X-Men films, like those. You know, he thinks they're the best thing ever or whatever. He even likes the Fantastic Four films, the original ones. I think they're terrible.
they were good. They were
No,
good
I thought they were
films.
good. I thought they were good.
They have their issues, but when it came to the Daredevil Netflix series, Kingpin was everything.
Stole the show.
Him in Night Nurse.
Yeah. You can put Rosario Dawson in
Foggy.
anything. Who cares? That woman's gorgeous.
Charlie Cox. They all did an amazing job with their role, and they flow so well. It was like reading a comic book or watching a comic book on television. So they did a great job. And then them taking Kingpin and putting him in the Hawkeye series, which is Chef's Kiss.
Sorry about that, Jess, but I didn't mean to have Dodger step all over like your ability.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing about it.
The dog disagrees.
But yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on it. They need to recast Elektra. Period.
Well, you know what though? I mean, in my opinion, I think that Elektra is such a minor character. In the comic book, she's to a point. I mean, I did not need her in the series at all. I did not need her in the movie. You know what I mean?
Come on. The movie was a perfect moment for her because
he needed a love interest.
The movie was bad though.
He needed a love interest, and I will defend the movie because I like the movie. But the problem is that we're all have this MCU guideline now as to what these movies should be like, and those movies obviously were not to that caliber. That was a popcorn movie. That was a movie that could have maybe got a sequel, but it was good with just a one-off. I think I would have to convince Ben Affleck that it was a good movie, and he starred in it. But like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie. But the character itself, and I think Charlie Cox really brings it to light. And you made a very good point. I think Vincent D'Onofrio and Renee said this too. Like, he stole the show, and he actually, it was like Kingpin came off the comic book into real world in a sense, which I thought was great. And like you just mentioned, him coming into the Hawkeye series, it's like, hey, you guys remember this guy? He's still around, that type of thing. So I think there's a lot of love to go around for the character, no matter what media it was in. But I think Disney Plus, is really going to do something with it.
They did also blip Kingpin, and that's how they explained him showing up in Hawkeye.
Yeah,
they explained that he was blipped and he lost all his power, so you have to build that back up. And I think that's what they're going with Born Again is Charlie Cox was blipped as well.
Okay.
That's what I think. That's my opinion.
Big G, can you hear us, brother?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
There you are.
Yes, now you're on. Yes.
Gene,
I tell you, bro.
Man. Listen, this is my good friend Big Gene, folks. He's a longtime Marvel Comics fan and a current Marvel Comics fan. Big MCU fan. I think it's probably going to be his, fourth or fifth time he's been on the Bleeding Edge since the beginning. But I met him on Rizzle. And Gene, just so you know, this is my friend Danny. This is Jasmine, and this is Renee. We're here on the show.
Hey, hi.
What's up, y'all?
Gene is a dope-ass dude. So y'all, I'll tell you right now, he's good people.
Yo.
But Gene, going to you now that we can actually go back and forth with you. What was your take on the Daredevil Netflix series?
Oh, they picked the right actor, though. That's a definite. Now, I really appreciated the authenticity of him because it was a learning process. The curve he took in it was the way it was supposed to be. The only disappointment I had is from the comics, he hung around with Spider-Man a lot. And even if I would have just seen a web string come by, I would have been like, oh my God, yes. But I really like Thanos. I mean, not Thanos, Kingpin. He was the great actor for that too. less imposing than in the comics, but I understand this is the visual aspect of the comic, which has to be more believable because we ain't gonna take no corny stuff. But I really liked it. I was disappointed that they canceled it, and I'm so glad the MCU picked him up to play Daredevil. I don't like that yellow stuff, but you know the red suit is classic to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're
To play Daredevil.
Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Jeff, do you have speakers on? Because we got a lot of echo.
is there a lot of echoes even right
Yes.
now?
Yes.
You know what?
Mhm.
Hold on. I can fix that.
Okay.
I do have external speakers going on. They usually aren't a problem.
He's going to take a hammer. He's going to smash everything. Watch.
But Danny, why I'm getting my headphones on,
Okay.
you want to wrap up this question. What was your take on the Daredevil Netflix series overall?
I loved it. I mean, I thought it was the best of everything they did. This is going to be kind of funny, and I always say this on my shows and stuff like that. I hate comic book fans simply for the fact that they don't shut the hell up and understand that in the visual media, there's only certain things that can be done. You know, I completely get like what Gene, what you were saying, like I would have loved to see a spider web or something like that. But since Sony owns that shit, we're not going to see any of that stuff. So we need to walk
Damn
past
Sony.
it. We need to walk past it and know that he didn't meet Spider-Man yet. Period. End of story. But I loved it. I think they're going to get the same intensity, if not a little bit more, with Disney Plus. And I think, Jasmine had a great thing about saying, hey, he's got to rebuild. So now Daredevil's going to have to like take on this fight again. And it's like, oh my God, I already got this guy. Now I got to do it again. Maybe at this point we're going to see, and we'll see him in the She-Hulk series as an introduction. But maybe we're going to see Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock as someone that wanted to go back to being a lawyer and hung up the tights for a while. And now and we still have the echo, by the way. And still, we're still trying, like he's going to have to say, ugh, I have to do this again. So.
I get what you're saying. I definitely do. And basically, just I guess as a kind of the one other question that I guess I'm probably going to be able to fit into this Daredevil topic or segment. I guess we don't really know that much overall tangibly about the Daredevil series, besides the fact that the run from the comics is essentially from Frank Miller. It's from when Frank Miller first started in it came out in '86. Essentially it's based off of like a arc where Matt Murdock is betrayed by Secretary Karen Page, who of course is played by Deborah Ann Wall, who looked really good in HBO's True Blood, by the way, as a redhead. And she quits Nelson and Murdoch, leaves New York to become an actor, subsequently gets addicted to heroin. In order to get her next fix, Karen Page sells Daredevil's secret identity as Matt Murdock, which essentially gets sold further up the food chain, finally reaching the ears of villain and crime boss Wilson Fisk, who then uses his connections and powers as a kingpin to orchestrate Matt Murdock's the Daredevil's descent. Framed, shamed, and ousted from his former life by Kingpin's clever machinations within the New York City police, Matt Murdock becomes homeless and turns paranoid and aggressive, plagued by Kingpin's men. As Fisk himself similarly descends into an obsession to kill Murdoch and turn the Daredevil's life into a living hell. So how much of that will play out in the actual series? Well, it's always different. It's never completely comic book accurate what we end up getting. But I believe that probably a lot of the story, what we will see in the series, will mirror what you hear in that synopsis.
Yeah.
So I guess starting with you, Jasmine, as far as the echo goes, honestly, Danny, I can't figure out where it's coming from. I can't.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad though.
If someone has the show on somewhere else near their microphone, that could potentially be it.
Right.
But basically, I guess I'll start with you, Jasmine. Knowing that we don't have that much information as far as any of the real tangible logistics with the Daredevil Disney Plus series, besides the title, and we know kind of who's going to be in it to some extent. What would your expectations be in comparison to the Netflix series and in general?
Well, going off of what when we last saw him, he was in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Now, him defending Spider-Man was immediately erased from his mind, so he doesn't even know about Peter Parker or Spider-Man. So it's kind of like a full reset for him when it comes to meeting Spider-Man all over again. And with the show, I have a feeling it's going to be. Um, I feel like Jennifer is after he's going to meet Jennifer Walters in She-Hulk. So pretty much anything that happens in She-Hulk is going to lead into Born Again. So whatever villain we get here
Hmm.
is hired by Kingpin. That's my opinion.
Yeah, they'll cliffhang whatever his storyline is, I think, at the
Yeah.
end of the series.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, so going back to you, Big Gene. Um, I guess what would your expectations be of the Disney Plus Daredevil series?
I think it's a no-brainer. It should be a success, plain and simple. They already had the roadmap really from Netflix. Netflix really did a good job with him,
Hmm.
especially the second season. I mean, phenomenal. It had me waiting for the next season. Now, I really didn't like the way they dealt with the stick stuff some, but as far as in his overall depiction of Daredevil and Matt Murdock, it was on point. Like, there's no one who's gonna say that he didn't steal the scene in Spider-Man when he caught the brick. It was like, that's Daredevil, you know? So I'm really expecting, depending the course they take in the story they tell, but they have no reason to say mess up Daredevil as the actor we see in the projection on the film, you know? So I'm really waiting for it, really. And put him in everything. I don't care. Even if he's just walking by, because that's just his style in the New York City streets. He converses through the streets, and whether he's on a train and a little save here, a little save there. But ultimately, they got the roadmap to making a successful Daredevil. But
Okay.
that's just my opinion.
No, that's a good opinion. Um, Renee, same
Hmm?
question, but I just want to add on. Do you have any concerns with the transition from Netflix over to Disney Plus with the series?
Um, in the fact that they may pull their punches on the amount of violence that
Yes.
you're going to have in this time, because this is a noir uh, story, deals with crime, deals with the seamy side of life, and you're going to see that part of it. It's integral to the story. So I'm sort of afraid they're going to do that. And Netflix, just, I mean, they didn't go beyond into an R. I don't think they pretty much kept it PG-13. But so I think it can be done. We saw a little bit if the She-Hulk, we did see a little bit more violence and a little bit more risque humor and whatnot in that. So maybe that's an indication they're going to loosen up a little bit. As far as my expectations, I do like the idea that this is going to be Matt Murdock having to deal with um, post traumatic stress syndrome, because one thing about him, he has the ability to echolocate, and hear heartbeats and determine if somebody's lying or not based on it, like a lie detector. But he takes a beating. He gets beat up every episode. He's well, what happened? The his funny thing and little running thing was that he would show up in the lawyer's office with black eye and oh well, he was out again, on a tear, or something like that, and that was a joke. Yeah, I think dealing with that, because they really a little bit with Hawkeye. I think they're trying to understand that what emotional toll is this world taking on people, taking on these heroes, taking on these all these. I mean, just one thing after a bizarre thing just keeps happening. We could presume that everything that planet Earth up until Thor's hammer hit the Earth was unaware of all these extraterrestrial things going on. I mean, I think Project Pegasus was top secret, and the shield and all that was always kept top secret until they were the Men in Black, in other words. So yeah, I hope they'll just stay street level, stay gutsy, talk about existential issues. I think the fact that they're calling it Reborn, I think, is a good indicator because the series did deal with that. I think it had a very deep religious aspect to it. Morality, right and wrong. What are we doing? Are we really doing the right thing? Justice is blind. What does that mean? And things like that. So I hope they keep it to that level. And if they do, they're probably going to have the best Marvel Disney TV show yet.
Danny, same question. And what do you think? How do you think it's going to play out having the 18 episodes on Disney Plus?
Well, given the fact that there's a lot of content, and I think the fact that they're willing to keep Deadpool 3 a rated R, and the Netflix shows, just for FYI, they were rated R actually on Netflix. Yeah. So the fact that they're willing to do that, and that's a Kevin Feige decision, which is great. Like I said before, the changing of these titles, like you have Daredevil Born Again, we have now it's going to be AKA Jessica Jones. This is an official way to separate the Disney Plus episodes and content from Netflix. I don't think we're going to get some dramatically different show or reboot of these shows. I think what we're doing is just getting a continuation now with a lot more money added to it, which is going to be good. And I think what we're going to get is a lot of the same violence. So one thing that Daredevil, the series, was known for was in each season you had that one episode where you had this 12-minute fight scene that's never stopped. In the first season we have the hallway. In the second season we have the stairway. I forget what the one was in the third season, but I know it was another brutal battle again. You're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted watching it. And I think hopefully if they bring anything back, I want them to bring that back, if anything. But Matt Murdock, now I think it's just cool because it gives Disney Plus, it gives Disney and / Marvel a chance to focus on heroes that are not dealing with these galactic events. Okay. Whilst Thanos is out there zapping people out of existence, while Thor is finding out, things about himself, and while Star-Lord is trying to find Gamora, meanwhile in New York, people are getting pickpocketed and getting mugged and getting slapped around, and banks are getting robbed. And you know what? Now Peter Parker is erased from everybody, so he's got a brand new suit and he's doing his thing. So there's a void there that we're not looking at. I don't think there's a void of heroes on that street level, but there's definitely a void there of guys saying, hey, you know what? I just need to beat the hell out of somebody. And they don't have to have superpowers, and they don't have to have, amazing gadgets. They could just be a really good bank robber. They could be I would love to see Daredevil take on a serial killer. Would be a wonderful thing. It's not going to happen. But I mean, that would be what I would like to see. Something that's a lot more grounded in that sense, and give me a grounded superhero that I can now say, you know what? There's now a character that if we want to compare something to Batman on the DC side, that we can do. Someone that picked up a mantle.
Yeah, can I jump in there, Danny?
Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah. I think you bring up a really good point about keeping it to the street level, and because I think in Hawkeye that had the LARPers that sort of introduced them a little bit.
Right.
They're trying to deal with this confusion, this universe of theirs that just keeps changing every week or every month or whatever, something new happens. And this is how they're dealing with it. They're going to take on the mantle of a superhero, even if they have their superhero powers. Now, another thing about the criminals, a guy like Kingpin, now he's up until whenever they found out the aliens existed, Kingpin's been just a regular criminal. And now he sees an advantage if he can get in with some of these weird characters that are starting to come in, that these whatever they are, then he can ally with them he can advance his power just as a human being. I mean, and that's in a sense is what Hydra was. I mean, they were just the Nazis, and then they discovered the Tazarac, and they discovered all these things that they could enhance their powers with, and that's where
Right.
they opened the gateway to whatever whatever came after that. So yeah, I think hopefully it'll focus a little bit more on that, because that's really where it's coming from. I mean, that's the source of the tension and the plots and everything.
Okay, well, let Jasmine get a final word in on this, and then let's move on to the She-Hulk episode 1 and jump into that, everybody. Okay, so we can try to get everything that I had laid out for the show played out. You know what I'm saying, and try to fit it all in. Go ahead, Jasmine. You had some final thoughts on the Daredevil Disney Plus series?
Yeah, with them having 18 episodes, we'll finally have a show long enough to get the full plot in. WandaVision was cut short. We had Hawkeye cut short. We had a lot of shows that had to work things around and plot lines put together that made the shows kind of not make sense. The only one that really made sense all the way through was WandaVision. And with Daredevil itself, we kind of need, like he said, we need a street level hero. And what I'm glad to hear is that they are still keeping the Defenders. They're bringing them in one by one. That's what I kind of think is going to happen with Daredevil. They're going to start doing the Defenders storylines again, kind of like they did before.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't officially know for sure that we're going to get.
No, I actually have a contact that actually worked with Kevin Feige. So I do know some stuff that's gone on in the background. That's kind of how I knew Daredevil was already coming in and Kingpin was coming.
I know there's been rumors that they may have locked down the Punisher to go ahead and do a Punisher Disney Plus series.
Oh yeah, he's already.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he already spoiled that he was back on Twitter.
I think that was kind of a no-brainer. But
Yeah.
So moving on over to the She-Hulk episode 1, and we already did our review on this. Jasmine was on it. I guess I'll start off with you, Danny, to kind of flip things around on this segment, let you lead things off.
Okay.
Other than the stuff that you talked about on your review of She-Hulk on Saturday morning, now that you've had a little bit more time to digest the episode, is there anything that that you're thinking of now that maybe you wish you would have put out, or like that that you didn't put out on your show?
Well, as a recap, I was trying not to give many details because even though it's a spoiler show, I didn't want to spoil everything and give you word for word everything that happened in the 23 minutes that the show was on. I just think what we're getting is another fun show where we have a character breaking the fourth wall, much like Deadpool. So I think that's going to be good. I think it's a light comedy, and I'm not usually a fan of my superhero shows being comedic unless that's their source material, unless that's where they're coming from. And with She-Hulk, that is somewhat of a comedic character. It does lead us back into other stuff because we are getting stuff for Banner and his Hulk. What's going to happen with the Sicarian ship that came down, with the potential of Planet Hulk or World War Hulk being something that they could be leading to potentially. So if anything, it's an ends to a means for me. But I think it's just fun, a fun character. And someone posted to me like off camera. They said, well, she's 7 foot something tall. She's green. Are you going to try and get with it? I said, of course I am. There's just something really hot about the 7 foot green chick who's very like confident and has a banging booty. I'm like, all right, let's get with it. I said,
what would Captain Kirk done with her?
I mean, I don't really see anything about the She-Hulk that would make her unhittable. I got to be honest with you. Like,
there's nothing unhittable about her at all. No. I'm like, yeah, this is great. She should be fighting off like the gentleman callers more so than bad guys. No, but right. I just think what you have to understand though is that all this is strategic. If you take yourself out as a fan for a second, we have the Fantastic Four coming up in stage 5, and she's a pivotal part of not only the Fantastic Four, but also Black Panther in a sense. So we're bringing in characters that are relevant, whether you realize it or not, whether you to other big name characters that are popping in. So that's a big thing you have to remember too. That even if you're like, I don't understand what's the deal with this show, what's the relevance, she's related to a lot of big characters that we're introducing into the MCU over the next 3-4 years. So that's a big thing as well. And as I stated before, I'm really enjoying a Disney Plus series, which is basically giving me 2 movies in the course of the time frame of the 6 to 9 episode like normal run that they have or whatever. And so therefore I'm getting a lot of really cool Marvel stuff right in the comforts of my own home, which is great. So
Okay, Big Gene. Let me ask you. You saw? Oh, did we lose Big Gene? Hold on.
yeah, we
I'm
did
tripping.
lose Big Gene for
There
a
he is.
second. Here
No,
he's
there
back.
you are, brother.
There he is.
Hey, Gene, did you see? You saw episode 1 of She-Hulk, right?
Yes.
Well, why don't you just, since you weren't a part of our review, why don't you go ahead and just give us your general thoughts on the episode? Try to keep it around like 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, she was like she was in the comics, but like, and she explained that why, like, working in this field where the men are condescending and so on. So, like, in order to control her anger, she was a very sarcastic type person. Now, that was before she got the gamma and Hughes induced, everything else, which makes her even more sarcastic and witty. And why not be more sarcastic and witty? Because they can't kick your ass now. So I don't blame it. I just want to see like how they further developed her as a hero. She was always reluctant. Now, I know in the comics she eventually became a full-fledged hero, Avengers, world saving, everything, and so on. I just want to see how they connected, the interconnectivity of progressing her as a character. Because I would like to see the full aspect of her, just like with her relationships with Johnny Storm and so many other heroes. But I know they're not going to put that on Disney, because there's this one picture when she's in this 2-piece bikini man, and it was on my wall for a while. But I'm excited to see where they go with it. Now, I didn't like the Titania girl, whatever.
Titanium.
Like, yo, I mean,
Yeah.
even though her costume was kind of accurate, but they made her like too much of a knockover, pushover type. Because in the comics, they've had some spectacular fights, But I'm looking forward to see where they go with it.
Yeah, they really didn't. They didn't do Titania any comic book fairness or accuracy in terms of like how quick She-Hulk took her out.
Do you guys think they're making it too comedic?
No, I think it's a great blend, great mix of.
I mean, I like the show, but getting to that comment right there is, I think what we're doing is we're sacrificing one character to make the comedic likeness of the other character happen, in a sense. And something I will say to both of you guys is that in a visual media, you got to compare it to a human to a dog. A dog every year for a dog is 7 human years. So that's the same thing with a video format. So getting back to what you're saying, like I would like to see them develop this that relationship. They're not going to be able to because we don't have enough time. That's
fair enough.
To do.
I like the dog theory of romance.
Go ahead.
I'll get back to you, Gene. Jasmine. Now that we did the review, we lost Jasmine. Renee, I apologize. Renee, you weren't on a review of She-Hulk, obviously. So I'll ask you the same question I asked Gene. What were your general thoughts on She-Hulk episode 1?
Yeah, I did the review with Grandmaster Podcast.
Yes.
Yesterday. So yeah, I have done their review, and we talked about some of the same things. Yeah, you know what? Going back to what Danny was talking about. crime element. If you notice, there's a when openings where she's standing out there, she's already been the hookers or whatever they are got her fixed up to where she's standing there waiting on Bruce to pick her up.
Yeah.
And we see off to her office. I'm sorry, it's what's going on. Okay, and we see off to her right. You see Roxxon Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you remember in the opening sort of scene where she's doing she's practicing her summation or whatever, she's talking, and then blah blah blah. They have to be held to the account because of their power, simply because they could or whatever. Well, more likelihood that's who it's some lawsuit that's going to be brought upon Roxxon or something like that, or some aspect or some subsidiary or whatever of that company. So I think maybe we're going to be finally getting some Roxxon, who these people are and what role they play in the MCU, because they're always popping up in the background. The service station, the Rocksmart and Loki, and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll bring it out. So yeah, the whole aspect of her, what I thought was sort of funny was while he's doing, we've been calling Professor Hulk, but I guess what does he go by? Smart Hulk.
Smart Hulk. Yeah.
He prefers Smart Hulk, so that's what we'll use. So Smart Hulk, he's very. Who knew he was so anal retentive? I mean, he is just. And it's going to be 15 years, and you're going to have to, and you're going to have to go through it. And she says, "What? I don't have 15 years. I got a life to get back to. Just show me, basically show me the basics, and I'll take it from there." And he doesn't understand that. That just tears him up. But I think they have a great relationship. I don't know how much he'll factor into the rest of the series, but hopefully he'll be there in the background for advice or whatever. So I'm just open to it. I'm not going to expect anything of this. I'm going to take it for what it is. It's a crime show sitcom type thing.
Yeah.
And let's just enjoy it. And I tell right now, there were like 3 good belly laughs they got out of me in that first episode. So I have no bad to say about it so far.
Well, Jasmine, you did the review with us of the She-Hulk episode 1. Do you have anything? Do you feel like that you've had a little bit more time to kind of digest it and whatnot and everything? Is there anything that you feel like you left out maybe? When we finished the review that you wished that you would have like brought up, during it or anything? Oh, we can't hear you, sweetie.
No audio.
You're not muted.
You might have to go out and go back in.
You might want to go out and come back in.
Yeah.
So until we get Jasmine on really quick, I just want to really quick, it's good timing, I think, to play an advertisement supporting, as always, at the Bleeding Edge, women's sports. There you go.
Oh man, I bet Big Gene wants to hit that.
No, bro. That's not my style.
Big G, you'd be all over that hot little white blonde. You'd be all over that shit.
He said, "Paint it green and call me daddy."
Yeah.
Hey, that TV. You remember the episode of Futurama where they're on this planet with these big Amazon women?
Yeah.
And they're going to be snoo-nooed to death. and they're oh no and they're laughing and crying.
You know what? Before we actually move forward, too, just to come back on something that Renee said, if you remember, the Roxxon Corporation was the big bad in what was it? Cloak and Dagger, that was on that Freeform channel. Yeah, that was a good series. That was on for 2 seasons, and that was really good. And it's Freeform, it's ABC, so they cut everything, they kill everything, But
they did 2 whole seasons of that show.
2 whole seasons. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was good. I liked it. Me and my daughter watched it every week, and we liked it a lot.
I didn't know that. I'll tell you, I love Cloak and Dagger in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
It was neat. If you didn't know the character, you kind of got into it. They were young people in it, so they weren't like major adults. They were like young adults. Like they were high school, like 17 years old, 18 years old, and they wrote it really well, and the 2 seasons were good. And Roxxon was the actual big bad in the series because that's where their powers came from.
I got you. Jasmine,
Yeah.
are you back with us? Can we hear you this time?
Yeah, I'm back.
Ah, there we go. So back to my question to you. Anything that skipped your mind during the review and whatnot that you look back later and said, I wish I would have mentioned this about She-Hulk episode 1?
I really enjoyed her being catcalled and her reaction to it. I didn't notice the detail of her like eyes turning bright green. I had to rewatch it and I saw that and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good detail to kind of show that she was like gaining furiousness, annoyance." It
What
was
do
a
you
great
think-
detail.
what do you
It's
think
the
about
small
what-
details that you enjoy.
Jasmine, what do you think about what Danny just asked a minute ago as far as like, does anybody think that like they're overdoing the comedy in the series so far in episode 1? I don't think they did.
You don't think what?
Danny had asked the panel essentially if anybody felt like the jokes or like the humor was overdone.
Well, and
Yeah,
just to give you a basis of my question real quick would be because we saw a sacrifice of Titania and how we're like, hey, this character really didn't get her just desserts being introduced into it and stuff like that. You can kind of see that it was something that was comedic to show how powerful she was and like okay with being the Hulk, even though she's apprehensive. But it was done for comedic purposes. So do you think that perhaps the comedy is taking a foreground over some of the potential character development in a sense?
No, because
Okay.
that fight was supposed to take place at the end of the series. They brought that forward and mixed some of the rest of the episode 8 into
Mhm.
the rest of the series. So no, I don't think it's taking away. I think the way they did it was to mask maybe she was hired by the people that
Mhm.
the lawyer crew who is about to hire her to,
Right.
represent villains. That's my
Right.
opinion.
Okay. Go ahead, G.
My question about that, since we want to like talk about the female aspects of the MCU, could there be they're very systematic in the way they do things anyway, the MCU, because there was such a polarizing effect between the previous women, Wanda, and especially Captain Marvel. I know there's a lot of dislikes of Captain Marvel. Since they made them so polarizing, do they try to counterbalance it by having a female be aloof and relaxed and kind of jokey to try to draw back in people to support like that female aspects of heroes in the MCU?
It's
I
Can I,
don't think
possible.
can I jump in? Can I jump
Yeah,
in?
go ahead, Renee.
There was like a line where she's he says, well, what generally brings on the Hulk? He says, well, fear and anxiety will, that's whenever I feel fear and anxiety, then that brings the Hulk in me out. And she says, well, women fear that, I feel that all the time. I'm a woman.
Right.
I fear that all
Right.
the time.
Right.
And so the important thing here about this comedy, it's not just funny, haha jokes, it's satire. So it's just like that, that's a satire joke. Part of her bravado, this little I'm tough, I can do this. I got this snap, I got this Bruce. You don't have to train me for 15 years. She's going to probably find out in the course of the next few episodes that no, she don't have it. She's,
Right.
she's going to have to learn some things, and she's going to have to take some hard knocks in becoming a She-Hulk. So yeah, the whole this may be playing into the whole narrative. So let's not get too upset and think, oh my God, is this going to be this feminist? I hear me roar type, and it's just it's going to make me feel bad as a man or whatever. Just calm down.
No.
For 30 minutes of the episode. No, I'm talking about something that happened outside of this.
No.
Didn't
Renee,
even happen to you. Doesn't even happen to you with you, Jeff, because I know this is not you. This is not you.
No. I just want to connect off of what you're saying and just say that
Mhm.
I really honestly feel like, if anything, to tell you the truth, Danny, that
Yeah.
this is just another situation where you've got Kevin Feige and you've got Marvel Studios, and they're doing something different again with the Disney Plus series. They're going in a different direction. They're trying something different, a different type, a different model of show, just like WandaVision. Something different. They're trying to break the mold. They're trying to Yeah, they want to change things up with their content. They want to go in
Yeah.
different directions. They want
And
they want to
she's-
open up. They want to open up the comedic side of the MCU more if they can.
and
They
at
still
some
want.
point,
Go ahead, Renee.
and at some point, she's gonna get her ass kicked.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
Titania will probably come back later in the
they're
series
gonna
and
be
beat her
people
ass.
waiting on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. But no, I'm telling you, you got to take into consideration that Disney is and Disney Plus is still looking to grow its audience, right? On Disney Plus, they still want to sell subscriptions,
Yeah.
right? So they need shows like this that are very inclusive in
Exactly.
general. Where like a looser
Change-
MCU fan
changing
or
it
a
up.
looser Marvel fan or someone who doesn't know anything about the comics at all can feel more comfortable by stepping into a series like this, as opposed to a WandaVision where it has a little bit more a Moon Knight,
Right.
where it has a little bit more of a comic book, psychological bend to it. Go ahead, Danny.
Keep in mind with She-Hulk, and we kind of get this in the first episode too, is that she's worked very hard to get into the position that she's in the law firm she's in. So we kind of get through verbalization that, like, hey, I had a struggle. I had to struggle being heard. I'm a woman in this obviously man's world of this lawyer, this law firm that I work for, and I had to work so hard to get to where I'm at, and I don't need this. Like, this is a distraction. This is an obstacle that I don't need right now. And I think what we're going to come into is like what Renee was saying, that not only does she's like, yeah, I'm good with this, because she does not respect it and she does not want it. So she's like overshadowing everything that she's doing. She's going to learn to respect what Bruce is saying to her.
Exactly.
about
Yeah,
what the
she's gonna have to learn
responsibility is.
that. Yeah, he
She's
can't
going to
tell
learn
to
that.
her.
Right. And she's
He
going to be
can't
like,
tell to her she
Bruce,
has
you
to
were
learn.
right. Right. And she's also, I think, going to pull something from it that's going to say, hey, you know what? For all my anxieties and for all my insecurities about how I am as a lawyer, I think She-Hulk's going to bring that out of her, and she's going to end up being able to say, like, this was in me all the time. So she's going to get an inner character development from being She-Hulk, in a sense. So I think like she's going to grow as Jen by being She-Hulk, where she wasn't growing before. She may have thought she was in the right path, but she was kind of plateauing herself in a sense. And I think She-Hulk's going to allow her to break the boundaries, and it's going to show Jen that Jen can really actually do whatever she wants, and she can be that lawyer that she wants to be, and that there are no obstacles. And I think that's what she's going to learn from this. So we're looking at the beginning of a big giant character growth for the character.
Oh well, I'm not a fly on the wall with Kevin Feige, so I don't know what kind of contract they signed. What's her name? Tatiana. What's her name? The Maslany.
Tatiana, yeah,
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's going to be in the MCU for a long time, I think. So all I can really say is she's definitely going to be in the Avengers. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's going to end up being one of the most powerful Avengers by then.
Well, with Secret Wars coming up, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna see her in Secret Wars. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Same thing with Titania. So to wrap this up, I'm going to go to you, Jasmine, then I'm going to go to Eugene. Final thoughts on She-Hulk episode 1 before we move on and we get into the actual Thor Ragnarok wrap up that we're going to do.
All right. When it came to Titania, when it comes to that character, I know she's going to be, she's not the main villain of the show. I think she's hired help. I think she's there to further the plot. But I think she's well cast. I did really hate how they, how that scene went. It was so fast. It was over. The cuts were a little sloppy to me. Because they went from Titania throwing a desk to She-Hulk catching it and then throwing it back, and Titania being squished under it, but somehow flying through the air with a kick. It was just kind of sloppy. Like, how you go from A to C? It makes no sense.
I get what you're saying. It was very quick.
Yeah, it was too quick for me. I was like, I wanted to see that fight. It was so they used it in the trailer like it was going to be this big thing, and then it turned out to be a snippet. It was That was my only qualm with the episode. Everything else was great.
They're gonna give us another.
Oh, I
they're gonna-
know,
they're
but I
gonna
was just
mess
like
them
that
up.
one
Yeah.
episode. It was just like, how you can introduce me to her like
Well,
that?
you know what? And I'm going to say this right now. You don't get to Rocky 3 without going through Rocky 1 and 2.
There you go.
Good
And that's
point.
what it comes down to.
Big Gene.
Exactly. We were already
But
at
they,
three.
but they did go from The Exorcist to The Exorcist 3. And they could have just bypassed it.
Big Gene, wrapping up on She-Hulk episode 1. What are your final thoughts on the episode before we move on and we get into Thor Ragnarok?
Well, that's the good thing about series is there's multiple parts,
Yeah.
and it's like a staircase. So it'll go. Well, you hope you don't go from the second floor down to the basement, but gradually you go up. So with each episode, they should build on the focus of wherever they want to get to their destination. One person I would really like to see in there is Volcana, because I mean, she's hot, really hot, volcano hot and sexy. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the interaction with her and her character. Just the fight scenes. Everybody likes seeing women fight, bro. But I can't wait.
How about Matt Murdock and She-Hulk
Hell yeah.
hooking up?
You don't
Well,
hit a
I mean,
blind
I don't
man.
know if they're gonna, you never know. It can happen. I mean, Matt Murdock gets around. He don't play. You know what I'm saying? Either way. So the whole premise of this Thor Ragnarok, I guess, wrap up or like, re-review essentially is just the fact that we reviewed Thor Ragnarok last week. I felt like at the end of it, Renee and I both agreed that there was a lot left of the table. And I'm not going to try to pick through it, every little thing that I was thinking of at the end of the review that I wish I would have got out. But I guess what I'm going to just basically would give as a premise is essentially what I'd like to get out of this segment is just essentially, having not, Danny, Jasmine, Jean, having not been on the review with me and Renee, what if you had just on your, if I had to pose to you, I guess starting off with you, Jean, looking back at Thor Ragnarok, right? You tell me, how do you feel about it now? Years after it came out and whatnot and everything, as far as what kind of film it was and what it meant to you and whatnot and everything. What did you think of Thor Ragnarok when you first saw it, Gene?
Well, when I saw it, when I was expecting to see it, I was looking for fights, hammer smashes, just fighting. Thor does that well. But one of the bonuses for me was the fact that Chris, the comedic aspect of him, I wasn't really expecting that, but he plays humor very well. And it's so subtle that it comes across and it makes me laugh. So in the process of it, I got to see hammer smashes, jokes, sexy aliens, a rock monster, and the eventual progress of the movie to moving on to where it got to with Love and Thunder. So I can't knock it. That was one of the best Thors that I've actually liked, really. I mean, Ragnarok was a complete movie on all aspects of the emotional spectrum. So I really enjoyed it. And I was watching it today, actually.
There you go. That's perfect timing. Jasmine, what do you think? As far as Thor Ragnarok goes, looking back at it, I guess, what pops in your head right off the bat when you think of Thor Ragnarok? What is your take on it? On the film
Hulk.
quickly. Hulk.
Oh my god. Hulk in that movie, between Thor Ragnarok and him and She-Hulk, I've been crushing. He's hot. I can't help it. And I'm mad that Thor got to see what I couldn't. He's like, it's in my brain. It smells it in my brain. I was like, I wish I was you.
It's like the size of a Volkswagen Bug. I mean,
And
I've got a sex toy right now that somewhere.
and that's a homicide.
That's about the size of Hulk's dog.
I didn't hear
Hulk
any of that.
3,000, okay? Just get on. But honestly, it's one of my favorite Thor films because the rest of them felt detached. It felt very Loki. It was all about Loki. It was all about family. While this one actually centered around Thor and building him as a character, not building him to build up other characters.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Because the first one felt like a very failed love triangle situation. Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
well, not love triangle, but you know what I mean. Like romantic interest. I never felt that between him and Jane. Never.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
I was like,
No.
is she a lesbian? I was like, I don't get it. I don't see it. I'm
No,
like, I looked at him. The only
I
time
never-
Yeah.
I never looked at her as the kind of woman that Thor would even be interested in. You know what I mean? Like, really. to tell
Yeah,
you the
like
truth.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I mean, Thor's hooked up with guys, girls. It don't matter.
Yeah.
He's just a Viking. He's a Viking. He don't care.
You know, in the
Whole him.
comics,
But
Mhm.
when it came to Jean, I saw her better off with Darcy. I think that's her
Okay.
name. That's it, a
Well,
wrong
I-
show.
I definitely think Darcy's
Yeah.
pretty fine. I do. I can tell you that.
Darcy
right
is
now.
very fine.
Have you
Darcy
seen
is
her
very
girls,
fine.
Those boobs. Ooh. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think Darcy would have a crush on Loki, though. I think she would
all
be interested
comic
in him.
babes have nice boobs.
They
That's-
do.
Well, yeah, in the comics, but in life,
That,
Yeah, they do. You
but
see
in life,
Darcy.
though.
in real life, Darcy has some exceptional breasts. She really
Exceptional.
Yeah.
Exceptional, honey, those
Danny,
are watermelons.
They're natural. They're natural too. All
I
natural.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Those are huge, and I
Danny,
love it. I
Danny,
watch
let me
her in
get you in on
anything.
this. Let me get you in on this, Danny, before I go over to Renee, that was on the review of this movie with me the other day. What do you think, Danny? Looking back at Thor Ragnarok, what's your take on it? What stands out to you?
We actually got Planet Hulk, is what we got. With Thor taking the foreground instead of Hulk taking the foreground. So what they did was they were able to tickle the fancy of the comic book fans out there that have been longing for that movie and didn't get it other than an animated form, which I thought the animated film was fantastic for it. I thought it was exceptionally funny. I think Chris Hemsworth is a funny son of a bitch. He is a very funny son of a bitch. Jeff Goldblum played a great part.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that. I just thought all the way around. And Mark Ruffalo is very likable on camera. He's very, very likable. He's very funny himself as Bruce Banner. And not for nothing, that epic battle scene when they start playing Led Zeppelin and he's coming through the sky and he's got lightning coming out of his eyeball. And I said, Joe, I want to go out in the parking lot and flip a car. I was like, I'm so charged from the scene that I'm like, this is what I want to see. This is the kind of epic shit I want to see. So, I mean, it was great. I thought it was a great movie. Did it move the MCU along? No, it did not. It did not. And in all honesty, neither did Thor 2, neither did Iron Man 3, neither did Iron Man 2 for that matter. I mean, we talk about how great the MCU is, but they had a lot of bombs that didn't necessarily bomb in the box office, but as far as the fans are concerned, yeah, I could have did without this, I could have did without that. But it was a great movie. It was a great addition. It does show that we can say, all right, let's take back this dark shroud over the MCU for a while and make something funny. Because let's face it, what Ragnarok led into, we were starting to get into pretty soon Infinity War, which was one of the saddest fucking movies I ever saw. I was crying in Infinity War when my favorite Spider-Man went. I was like, oh my god! I was like a 7-year-old girl like that was like taken from her dance. I was like, no, this is horrible. So it kind of like in a way, I think cheered us up before we got this major drop down on what was going to happen in the world of the MCU. So it's one of my favorite movies, honestly. And just as a side note, Hulk's dong was so big that it actually blipped where Hulk did not. So the dong that
How
Hulk has
dare
now
you?
is 5 years younger than Hulk is. Yes.
How dare you?
It was considered a person that the Snap didn't realize and thought it was just an average sized person, but it was a dong.
How
And then
There you
dare
go.
you? How
I
dare
heard they
you?
worshipped in India.
A midget?
It was a minute. It was a little green person that got zapped out of existence for 5 years.
How dare you?
So Renee, you and
Yeah.
I talked the other day about contrasting and comparing, I guess, Thor 4 and Thor Ragnarok, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you kind of jump into that real quick? You know what I'm saying? Like, then I'll go around to the panel and ask you guys all the same thing.
Let me.
Looking at Thor 4 now, Renee, compare and contrast Thor 4 and Thor 3.
Well, can I before I do that? Can I talk a little bit to what Danny talked about? I think
Yes,
he
please, go
got
ahead.
a good. He brought really good points and
Oh, about Hulk dong.
Jasmine. Yeah. Uh, uh, yeah, like I said, it even impressed Thor, so it had to be something. But
Hot
anyway,
D.
my nightmare.
Not
Anyway,
mine.
you're, well, I'm 67, Jasmine. I'm 67. Come on, give an old lady a break.
Uh,
And now I've lost my train of thought. No, what about bringing out the movies you said that didn't advance
Yeah.
the plot that much?
right.
What these movies did was advance the characters. It
Mhm.
gave them a pause where they're not dealing with a plot line to
Right.
this where we could visit with them and bring out a really good point. This was Chris Hemsworth's chance to, even though Thor was it was his movie. As he pointed out, it was the relationship between him and Loki and Odin.
Right.
That was that was the turmoil that was going on. The deepest emotional relationship Thor has is with Loki. So
Mhm.
first, and then you get the second movie. When you get to the third movie, Loki has been reduced to the comic sidekick. If you think
Mhm.
He was
so,
in the second one, but with his TV show, he's turned into more than that.
well, this is aside from because remember Loki TV show comes after. It is the
True.
result. Loki takes the Tesseract and zaps himself
He was
out
still
of the
hot though.
yeah. So yeah, but anyway, that's one point. Oh, they're all hot. I mean, I can imagine Thor. There maybe they are blood related. So I don't want to think about them getting together, but that would be interesting.
Are you talking about Korg? Talking about Korg?
I don't know. I'm getting off my point I'm trying to make here, but yeah, I think like I say, it gives a chance to visit the characters, be with them a little bit. Um, like I say, Hemsworth, and he's a really good actor. I think people have talked about he's wooden, yada yada. He can play. He hasn't done a lot of movies that were not action type movies, but the ones he's done has been really good. He did, I think, Rush. He did it with Daniel Book. It was about the true story about the auto racing back in the 70s. The movie, I can't remember the El Royale Hotel, whatever. It's a crime drama that goes down. I mean, he was in that. Several other movies and I think he's a good actor. So I guess maybe his muscles and everything and his good looks gets in his way sometimes, but hopefully, he can do some more stuff that's not Men in Black reboots, and stuff like that.
There
Am
you
I the
go.
only one like Ghostbusters?
Oh, yeah, and Ghostbusters. He don't need to be doing some, but anyway, he's
He's
an actor.
good in it.
He's gonna get he's gonna get well, yeah, he played dumb, but they got to get their paycheck. So I don't damn an actor for taking a movie like that. That's their work. Going back to Thor and comparing Thor 4 and Ragnarok. I think I brought last week's show about how same director,
Stop.
same cast practically, and look at the difference between it, the quality between the two movies. I mean, particularly when you see them back to back, like I just did. So it's like the richness that Taika brought to Ragnarok. I don't think he had. I think he dropped the ball on Thor 4, and that's all I'll say about that. About
I
as far
haven't
as
seen
that.
it yet.
And there was one thing that I saw and I didn't bring it up, and it's where Loki and they're in the Rainbow Bridge and Hela's in there with them. I think Hela stabs Loki. I think she stabs him, and then at that point she shoves him out through the Rainbow Bridge to however he gets to Sarkar. So I think that's just. I'm wondering if anybody picked up on that.
I gotta
'Cause I
rewatch
think that-
it.
I'm sorry.
I gotta rewatch it. I don't remember
Yeah.
that.
I don't
Yeah. Well,
remember.
when they're in that Rainbow Bridge scene, just look for that and see if she. Because I'm pretty sure she stabs him. But then he's not injured or anything when we see him next on the
Right.
circle. Yeah.
Right. I mean, but it was just such a great show. I think it was a great movie. And I think it's one of those things where, um, like I said, it gave us a little bit more character development into Thor. Thor's just not this like muscle bound, good looking guy. There's some substance to him. There's some issues to him, that type of thing. And I think that's where we find some common ground with this guy, because he's like one of the most powerful Avengers. And we're like, why should he care about what's going on? And I think that character development gives us an idea of why he cares, because he
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
have
his
to.
mission. It's his
Right.
mission.
Yeah, he doesn't have to, but he's living up to
hmm
the power and the responsibility of Thor. And
Right, and as the
you know,
protector of Midgard, because that was his
Mhm.
role.
I also feel like
stated
Thor's
role,
kind of
yeah.
the fourth strongest, not strong. Well, not fourth, but you know what I mean.
I mean, technically, it should be the Hulk.
Up until that point,
Mhm.
he was very low tier.
Right.
He was just a joke. The hot bod.
Right.
Let me throw my hammer because I have a temper tantrum problem.
He was eat up with pride.
Right.
In the comics, that's what
He had to be
that-
brought down a couple pegs.
that was his relationship with Odin. Odin used to be so mad at him because everything was like a joke. He was so aloof.
Yeah.
He was cool with just being
right.
the prince, the up and coming new ruler, and he took no responsibility. He'd go back and forth to Earth, neglecting his godly duties, and then like that was the storyline. Odin
Well,
missing, he has to grow up.
He was a classic. I'm taking for granted all the blessings that I have. Is what it was.
Right, right.
And that's a classic trope, that type of thing. He's actually starring in a new Netflix series where he narrates. It's a documentary called "The Taking of Hulk's Dong," and it's about the
How
5-year
dare you!
missing of Hulk.
How dare you!
And they talked to eyewitnesses that said, "I think I saw that dong, but I didn't for a long time."
I wish I
and
saw
stuff like
it. I'd keep it. It'd be in a drawer
Yeah.
in my room.
American Pickers found it in a barn
Battery.
somewhere, with a bunch of like stuff on it, and
Mm,
guys, I have to go.
So, man, I saw it. That big old green
Well, Danny, my friend, it was good for you to come on.
I appreciate it, definitely. Guys, go to my YouTube channel. Go to www.djbproductionsnetwork.com. Go ahead and subscribe. There's multiple playlists on there, everything from pro wrestling to comedy to nerd stuff like this, and even music and more. We have brand new shows coming out on there. Coming up, a new show coming up, which is tonight's TV listing. We're going to talk about the American age of television. So you're going to be able to check that out, coming out soon on the network as well. Jeff, my friend, thank you so much for having me on. Jasmine, Jean, Renee, thank you guys for encouraging me. And check out that new Netflix series about the taking of Hulk's Dong. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I will definitely.
I'll drop a link. I'll
documentary.
drop a link for your YouTube. I'll drop a link for your YouTube and everything and whatnot. in the
I would be
description.
I would be greatly appreciated, guys. Have a wonderful evening, guys.
All right,
Yeah,
Danny.
we'll try.
Now, Jasmine, before we send you off, your final thoughts on Thor Ragnarok.
Where's the
Take as
just
much time
dong
as you want. But other than the Hulk dong falling off.
But honestly, it was a good film. It did what it needed to do. It gave Thor a reason to stick around, because at that point I was waiting for him to go away.
Yeah.
His character was
Without
one
Ragnarok,
note.
there is no Love and Thunder.
Yeah, because he was one note. He was he basically was like that whiny brat at the store or on a plane that's whining, trying to get its way. That's basically what he was, but with a hammer. That's basically all Thor was. Or the Horde that was pillaging and villages and jumping the gun on the Rainbow Bridge just to get what he wanted. So
The brat.
having him change from that one note serious character. We already had Tony. We don't need another one. So it's kind of nice to have someone comedic, funny, but has feelings and isn't just a joke. And
Sure.
I'm mad that
Sure.
he got to see Hulk's dong. That's that's my.
There you go.
I'll never let it go.
I wonder what the Grandmaster's song looked like.
Well, Jasmine, I know you have to go, so I want to thank you for coming on the show again and guesting and whatnot. I'm glad you got to meet all these great creators and everything and whatnot on the show, which believe me, you'll meet plenty more. And I will be seeing you again soon because you'll be on the She-Hulk episode 2 review, I'm assuming, probably, right? With us again?
Yeah.
I would assume probably Friday, right?
Yeah.
There you go. So you'll see Jasmine again. She'll be on the show again on Friday evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, when we do our She-Hulk episode 2 review on Friday evening this week. Renee will be back for that one too. And at that point, Jasmine, if you want to go ahead and just plug, maybe it's your writing or or you're like you're blogging, whatever it is that you do on the side.
You can come to my YouTube channel, YouTube Now.
That's right.
03, where I do makeup tutorials, nerdy stuff, reaction videos. I'm soon going to do a gaming channel. And you can also go to my Wattpad, Jazzy Production, and on Wattpad, and you can find a lot of my nerdy fan fictions about Marvel, Charmed, pretty much anything sci-fi or nerdy related.
Outstanding.
All right,
well-
I'll see you guys.
All right, Jasmine, take care, my friend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
But Big Gene,
You.
final question. Thor Ragnarok. What's your take on what Taika Waititi did to reinvent Thor, and what he
Wow.
brought to that film in terms of what he gave us in that film? If you had to kind of summarize, what did Taika do that was so different than what went on in like Thor: The Dark World, for instance, which was like a terrible movie for the most part, like somewhat okay, I guess.
Well, I didn't watch it yet, bro. But everybody and their mama talked about it. But what I enjoyed about the conversations is the redemption arc of how he saw the need that he needed to stop living and being like he was. Like the workout scene, the chains, and all the way to the developmental at the end to where he found his self again. You gotta like that part because that's just like everybody's life. You try to go from making yourself better than you was, and that's what he did.
Well, he's doing the Rocky, the whole, that's an homage to Rocky. Yeah.
So I'll probably watch it this weekend since I have like the weekend over. But like maybe even tonight, I'll just go cut it and just go watch it. But anything with like hammers. Jane Foster is Thor. In the comics, she was sexy. It goes to, well, listen, any god women are sexy. They're all attractive. Even Hela, I'd go and spend the night in hell for a couple of days, But I'm gonna try to enjoy it later on tonight, most likely.
Excellent. And Renee, kind of, I guess, just final question off Ragnarok for you. Same thing, kind of as I said to Gene, I guess. But anything, if there's anything that you weren't able to get out on the review in terms of Taika, even in terms of something like how well he did with Korg, like I mean Korg was awesome in the film. What did you feel like Taika really did differently and brought? What kind of element did Taika bring to Ragnarok?
Well, he didn't flesh the characters out. I mean, he did bring Korg. I mean, he brought him more into the story. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't really see a lot of character development in Thor. I mean, other than he had that rock, he got his mojo back. I mean, there again, the story with he didn't have to deal with Jane Foster's story in Ragnarok. I don't think he was able to bring anything out of it. The relationship never really gelled. I think in the first movie or even in Dark World, I think it just felt forced, and that would have been at least his chance, to elevate that relationship and make it into something. I think there were a couple nice moments where he were doing like the backstory, where it was like they were doing the fun things, they were skating, they were doing that picnic, and then they started having tension, and things started to fall apart, and they decided to move. And I think that kind of showed right there that they were just two people that just, they loved each other, but they just didn't really like each other enough to stay together and, to do what they had to do to be together. Let's put it that way. I mean, I think that's where it really just was lackluster. I mean, when you got into like the other scenes where it was like, so somewhat reminiscent of the battle scene of the Coliseum and Ragnarok. You see the Zeus's vast hall or whatever it is. It's sort of a replay, an allusion to that. But other than that, I mean, it's just, whereas you had the whole arc, I mean, it was just one huge arc of a story and action and pauses and everything. It kind of hit all the right notes. It just never did, I think, with Thor 4. And, like I said, I've only seen it one time in the movies. I'm perfectly willing to look at it again, and will do so when I can get it free on Disney Plus. I'm going to look at it again, and I'll reassess my opinion. But right now, I still just don't have a very good opinion of Thor 4. But, and it kind of was even reinforced a little bit by even going and looking at Ragnarok again. And so, now I can really see where the problems were at. And but I'll, if I'm wrong, I'll admit it.
Okay. So to finish this one up, Captain America 4: New World Order. Starting off with Eugene. We don't know that much about Captain America 4: New World Order, other than the fact that we got a release date now. We do, and and obviously we know Sam Wilson, Captain America, is going to be in there. The film is slated to come out in Phase 5, and it's supposed to be coming out on May 3rd, 2024. So we're looking at less than 2 years for the release date. Julius Ona is the director, and of course Malcolm Spellman from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series is back to write the screenplay and the script. So what do you think, Big Gene? Captain America 4: New World Order. What are your what's your overall take on? How do you feel about the film? How do you feel about the fact that we're getting a Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson?
Well, the dude who did the Winter Soldier, right? He's notorious for making a politically based movies, right? Shows or that arc. So, like, how heavy is he gonna make that arc in the movie? Now, I know that on the last episode of the Winter Soldier, according to Rotten Tomatoes, that was the worst episode of the whole series.
The finale?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I did, and I thought it was done extremely well. But like I said, Rotten Tomatoes said it was the worst rated show in that series. But are people really concerned about that political arc in acceptance? How heavy is he gonna lay it on? Is it gonna get to the point that where people are gonna be turned off by the movie, or it's gonna be more, say, substance with like a world issue, like preventing a war or some type of event? So I don't know what type of blend it's gonna be, but I'm looking forward to seeing it because I want to see what other heroes do they include in there with Sam. You know, because he did fraternize with, say, like other black heroes. They got their promos in the comic books when he was the Captain America. So what introduction of new heroes are we gonna get to see do a cameo? Because that's what I like, seeing my childhood idols just come to the film, and I'd be like, yes, oh look, it's so and so, it's so and so, it's so and so. Even with Blade one time, but it remains to be seen how they're gonna develop the story to there. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm definitely highly excited for this film. This is probably the film that I'm most excited about that's coming out for Marvel overall. I'm more excited about Captain America 4 than I am for the Avengers films.
Oh, wow.
Renee, what are your thoughts on Captain America 4? What are your thoughts on on Sam Wilson as Captain America?
Um,
You know, coming off the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series.
yeah, I think it's going to be. I totally support. Sam taking on the mantle. He has I think the same sense of honor and dedication to and patriotism. I think he has a military background. Um, I think the issue is going to be, though, other than maybe whatever technology, post-Stark technology or shield technology they can come up with in way of a suit and the shield. He's not a superhuman. He doesn't have that type of powers. So it's going to be more like, I guess, Tony Stark. Because he had to rely totally on his technology for his superpowers. So yeah, I think it's going to bring out another aspect of it. I think you're bringing out the idea of the minority. And in a lot of ways, I think that the episode where they were referencing the super soldier that had been trained and then somewhat abandoned by his country, and left to be a cripple, living on welfare. So I think, and of course, this didn't happen to this gentleman, but there was a man by the name of Ed Dwight, and he was probably almost got to be a Mercury astronaut, but my understanding of the story is that he was in the second round selection. They had 8 astronauts for Mercury, and then they decided to cut down to 7, and that was Ed Dwight. So whatever politics or anything that went into that decision, and the decision to remove him from the program, I mean, I won't go into, but I think it does allude to that there were people that were trying to be part of, America's future, America's frontier, and they were being kept back for political and racial reasons and whatnot. So maybe it won't get that heavy-handed. I think it would hurt the show or the movie if it did, but I don't see anything wrong with making allusions to it because it's definitely a part of our history.
Mm.
But otherwise, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't really have a lot of expectations for it. I'm just hoping that they'll just do a good job with it.
And Renee, would you? I mean, you watched the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, right?
Uh-huh.
Would you be happy, or would it work for you if the scope of the film essentially centered around some of those same characters that we got from that series, and they brought them back, like Sharon Carter, Bucky, Zemo, right?
Oh,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. Well, more than likely, I think those will be some of the, that Julia Louis-Dreyfus character that's kind of floating around. We're going to have to find out. Hopefully, we'll find out what she's up to and whose side she's on and whatever, and who she's working for. So she's sort of an enigma at this point. But yeah, I think Bucky absolutely. He should be. He'll come back because they sort of formed a good little partnership between them. They have good banter. They like each other. Kind of have a love-hate relationship. So yeah, that it would be. He definitely needs to come back as part of that film. So as far as some of the Baron Nemo, yeah, I mean we sort of saw a little bit of more of a sympathetic side for him. But then he's also super rich and he can afford all these technologies. Maybe he has a secret lair somewhere that, and he's gonna whatever become the next super villain or super anti-hero. I don't know, but we'll see.
Okay. So Big Gene, I'd say probably last question before we close things out. would be same thing I basically said to Renee. Having you already mentioned the Falcon and the Winter Soldier as you did, would you be happy? Now we obviously know that the story itself is going to be flushed. It comes from the comic books to begin with, so I mean, it's going to be flushed out differently than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But would you be happy to see Sharon Carter and Zemo and John Walker pop up in Captain America 4?
John Walker, I don't know. I mean, he's just not a appealing character to me. But everybody else is, especially Zemo, because I mean, he was nonchalantly funny or inadvertently funny and hilarious in some of the things. But I guess the overall interest for me is the completion because yes, just like you said in the comics, they did rip this story from the comics. But Captain America did come back to get his shield. Or it was given to him. But under what events they're going to portray to where Sam decides to say this mantle is too heavy, or his demise, or just wanting to give it back to who it belonged to. So all of them things are the things that interest me into just seeing it develop. And then either be like, wow, that was well done. I like the way they did it. But I am interested in seeing that arc come to completion with Sam in the Falcon mantle or back to the Falcon.
Well, I do want to believe that we'll get I don't know if they'll give him a whole trilogy, but there will be a Captain America 5. I can guarantee you that. We won't just get a number 4. But I guess, last question to you, Renee, and then we'll close things out on the show. Captain America 4, New World Order. Now, taking away the Alonzo Spellman angle and the different tropes, the racial tropes that could potentially be a part of the film, we don't know what to see. But, in terms of pure, enjoyment, in terms of as being a fan of the MCU, being a fan of Marvel, where does Captain America 4 New World Order rank for you in terms of what's coming out in Phase 5? The end of Phase 4. Is this a movie that you're really looking forward to? Is this, are you more into like these Avengers films we're going to get here in 2.5-3 years? Where does this rank, or how much does this excite you?
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. When is it supposed to come out? What year?
It comes
24.
out May 3rd, 2024.
Okay, well that's almost 2 years from now. So
Yes.
So I'm thinking in terms of future. But anyway, be positive and hopefully I'll get to see it. I mean, Sam Wilson. I mean, and the Captain America character is very important to the whole shebang. I mean, why wouldn't he be a major character going forward? Somebody has to do it. Apparently, the guy they tapped to be the Captain America. And, I think who was the actor that he's
Anthony Mackie.
He's Kurt Russell's son, isn't he?
Oh, Wyatt Russell.
Wyatt Russell. Yeah, he was a shady character. Wasn't got it and shouldn't have had it and ruined it and everything like that. So somebody else needs to take it over and do it right. So that's going to be Sam Wilson. And there again, we're bringing forward one of the. He was not. He was kind of blipped, I guess. So he was not part of the whole in-game saga at that point. But he was definitely a part of the supporting cast coming forward. So so now he's sort of going to come to more of a starring position, and I think he'll do well.
I love that angle too. I really do. I love the fact that he really put his time in, with Cap, with Chris Evans.
Right, yeah.
He was a major part. He was a big part of the Avengers for a minute. You know what I mean? At one point, during like Phase 3, he was a secret Avenger with Cap and Black Widow. They were hiding. That when they were like the 3-man team, which I would have loved to have seen a film with them. That would have been great. I would have rather had that than had the Black Widow film. To tell you the truth,
You may
they would.
get your wish.
Nah, it's too late for
Yeah.
Secret. It's too late for Secret Avengers now.
Mm.
But all right, folks, that is it for the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast for this Sunday evening edition. I want to thank Big Gene for coming on the show again. I want to thank Renee, Loki's mom, from the
Thank you,
Podcast of
hope-
Champions,
yeah, hope-
SicardOffReforms.net. Go ahead, Renee.
Hopefully, Big Gene will do some Thelonious Monk for us on the baby grand.
Nice. Oh wow!
I like that shot,
impressed.
Gene. You look your house looks very clean and very well kept and
It
it's
was
nice, man.
free.
He's
A
got,
free background, bro. You could get one too.
Oh, I was gonna say. I thought you were gonna say it's free.
I
I
thought-
thought you were gonna say Barack Obama gave you the house.
Well, there would be Secret
he's-
Service back there somewhere, but
Oh,
yeah, I think he's got
Thelonious
some-
Monk, nice, classic.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
shows that
I'm
you're a
good.
matured woman with a peculiar taste, right there. All right.
Yeah, I'm cool, baby. I'm cool.
oh, Renee, I knew you were gonna love Big Gene. This is your first time. This is your first time
Oh,
having
yeah.
a chance to meet him.
Anybody named Big Gene, I'm gonna like.
Well, you know
All
what?
right.
I think we're gonna see Big Gene here and there on these Sunday shows more often. So
Yeah.
we'll see if we can make that happen, Gene.
All right, of course, bro.
And Gene, do you want to? Of course, Renee. We're happy to have you talk about the podcast of champions and everything and whatnot. It's SicardOffReforms.net. But
Mhm.
Gene, real quick, what's going on with you these days? Are you just working your ass off constantly? Or, I
Man,
mean, are you still are you going on Rizzo and making content these days?
Once in a while, I just pop in. But
Me too.
the hospital, working in the hospital enforcement. That's what they call it. I'd say security, but still the pandemic stuff. Now the monkeypox and disgruntled employees, and I understand that everybody put their life at risk, but you put your life at risk because you have your bills. Just like I didn't want the vaccine, but I don't want to be broke either. But the excessive mandations and 18-hour shifts and 24-hour holds, and it is really a pain in the ass. And like so many people have left recently that, oh, well, we're going to put you on a 48 hours hold. That doesn't mean you have to work. You're still going to get paid for it. You just got to sleep in the hospital and stuff. I mean, it kind of sucked. But, I have $100,000 loan from putting my son to his master's and stuff. So I'm not trying to mess up my credit at this
Well,
age,
talk
bro.
about Captain America. There you go, folks.
Yeah. But,
That's what being a hero is, right there.
Hey, that's what we like to hear here on the Bleeding Edge. So Renee,
Mhm.
how was the Podcast of Champions She-Hulk episode 1 review the other day?
Oh yeah, we had a really good time.
What did everybody think of the episode?
Oh, they loved it. You'll have to go over and listen to it, Jeff.
I think I will.
No, it was a great show. It really was. I'm okay. Grandmaster, as always, does a fantastic job, and I love Grandmaster to death. And he's got some things upcoming, and send all my hearts and wishes and love out to him, and to all the
There you
boys
go.
over there too. I love my nerds.
There you go. Gotta love you some Podcast of Champions, baby. So listen, folks, the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. Myself over here, Jeff S, aka TrueKnowledge. I'm not much of a plugger. At the end of the day, it's not my deal. All I can honestly tell you is I've been looking at our analytics lately, and our stats are great. I mean, I'm happy with where things are going. We're progressing. I mean, we're monetized and everything and whatnot. I mean, that's a big step, but I mean, shit, I never even thought I'd be a monetized YouTuber when I became a content creator. That was never even a concept that I even thought was possible for me. So, I mean, I've already come farther than I ever thought I'd ever come with this shit. So, hey, how about that, right? But either way, I've been noticing a lot of people, not just on my Bleeding Edge reactions to Bandmate and whatnot and everything, but even on the MCU content, a lot of you that are checking out the shows, you're not subscribing. So do us a favor, me and Cyber, my co-host, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can hit 3,000 subs. Come on now, baby. We want to hit 10 grand. What's up? You know what I'm saying? We deserve it too. So, hey, I mean, come on now. We're the only not for kids YouTube channel and podcast out there that I know of in the fandom that covers the kind of stuff we cover, that has the balls to be that way and be not for kids and whatnot. So if anything, y'all should support us just for that.
You should offer a premium, Jeff. You should offer a premium.
That we're down the road.
For every subscription, you get a free dick pic.
There you go. There you go. And you know what? Honestly, ladies,
And
I
it
gotta
don't
tell
have
you.
to be yours. Hell, you can just send to anybody.
Well, you know what? I mean, honestly, I do find the guys that send the dick pics pretty funny. I do, because it's amazing to me that they actually think that shit does anything for women. But ladies, I will tell you though that although I know that dick pics don't do anything for you, I do have such a nice looking penis myself personally that if I sent one, it would be wonderful. Just to be clear, it would be excellent. But I don't send them. I don't need to. My extremely small penis is very difficult to pick up. On the camera phone. You know what I mean? I've got to narrow my shot down. It's not like the Hulk penis. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, folks, we're out here. The MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. Sunday evening show's done. We'll see you on Wednesday evening. Not even sure what me and Cyber are going to be covering yet. We'll be figuring that out. Tomorrow night, Monday night, check out me and Renee Loki's mom on a Facebook Odyssey on Facebook Live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific with JRent2000, the host, and Cybernetic Shark, my co-host from the MCU's Bleeding Edge, as a guest with me and Renee. We're going to be covering and reviewing the original Batman film with Michael Keaton from 1989.
And Jack Nicholson and the Bat.
There you go.
Can't
wait.
Looking
Get a load
to
of
me.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. You know me and Renee. Renee are gonna be making that shit. We're gonna keep it interesting. So
Nice.
We'll see you in the next one, folks.
Every day of the week. If I hop up on the mic, they gon' play it on repeat. Cash 100 milli check, I get paid just to breathe. Kill it 24/7, cause I slay in my sleep. Flames, pipe down.